Hi, everybody. This is Kirsten, your favorite podcast host. And thank you so much for tuning into another episode of the Relocate Podcast. So, like I've been saying in these past episodes, I know you hear me. And if you are listening and you are not subscribed or following the Relocate Podcast, then what are you doing? It's only going to take 2 seconds. Go ahead and hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button, support your girl, and let's get it. All right. So today I have Tanisha Shanee. She is from Brooklyn, New York. She currently lives in Tulsa, Oklahoma. She's been there for about 13 months now. Tanisha is also known as Miss Inspiration. She's an inspirational speaker. She's a lifestyle strategist, author, and she also has a pretty neat YouTube page. She talks about her experience being in Tulsa. Also, check out her Instagram, her website for more information about her as an author and a strategist. And I'm also going to post this information in the description of this podcast. So you'll have that handy so you can just hop right on it anytime during this discussion or even after. So, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone out there who's listening. I keep saying ladies and gentlemen. Oh my gosh, I don't want to exclude anyone, but everyone's welcome. This is a safe space. Just want to throw that out there. Tanisha, hey, how are you today?
Hey, how are you? I'm doing good. How are you feeling?
Good, good. I am just ready for a break.
Me too.
Honestly.
Me too.
Yes. Um, and speaking of breaks, I'm very excited to have you on here because some people move for work, some people move for family, but you literally moved for a break, a mental break,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
and just an opportunity to just reset your whole
My whole
nervous system, basically.
yeah, I definitely did.
Um, what prompted you to decide to relocate from a city where everybody and they mama, except for my mama and me, I'm never living in New York, but like no, like seriously, you moved from a place I definitely would not want to live to a place I definitely would not want to live. Like, raise your hand, people, if you ever thought about moving to Tulsa,
No one
because
thinks
I
about
never
it.
thought.
No, I didn't even think about it myself. So you are absolutely correct about that. I never imagined Tulsa, Oklahoma at all. Like I've never envisioned being in this state physically. So no hard feelings at all. But So I actually started to get this feeling that I did not belong in New York back in 2015. And I just started to just get like, I think as you're healing, you start realizing certain things just don't align anymore. You don't believe the narratives. And, in my family, we were born in New York, we got to die in New York. And I'm like, yeah, I don't believe that anymore. Like, I did not feel that way. But it took me so long because I didn't know where to go. Like that was the main reason. I didn't want to follow where everyone else was going. Like everyone moved to Atlanta, Charlotte, Florida, Texas. Even though Texas I still would consider because it's not a place that a lot of people that I know move to. But I just knew I didn't want to go to those places. And then, as I uncovered with therapy, my therapist was like, you're creating a narrative that you have to stay in New York. So that's keeping you stuck in New York because you have already told yourself, I need to be here. My family needs me. And she was like, what do you need? And so when we started that conversation back in 2022, that's when I started to face a lot of the blockages that was keeping me stuck in New York. So crazy thing happened when life was life, and I had to put my car up, could not drive it for about 2 years because I couldn't afford car insurance. Because car insurance in New York, it's about $500 a month for just a car. And so I said, I saw your face. I see your face. Yeah, about 500. Real numbers, 4 to 500.
Sweet baby Jesus, I will never complain again.
Exactly. Okay.
Sweet.
So
Whew.
when I finally got my car back on the road, this fear of being on the highway just came over me. It was like I was afraid to get on anyone's highway. And prior to this, I done drove to Ocean City, Maryland by myself, Atlantic City, Philly. So it's not like I had never been on the road, but now this fear. And I went from that for about 2019 until 2022. And that's when my therapist was like, first thing you have to do is get back on the road. Like, that's going to be your saving grace because everywhere outside of New York City is the highway, pretty much a highway city. And that's what I did. I took my first, well, not my first, but I drove to Myrtle Beach by myself, jumped on the I-95, and I just went. And that was like my moment of breaking free, like, okay, I'm ready to go. And last year, my sister sent me a TikTok, places that would pay you to relocate. And I said, you know what? I'm going to apply. I'm going to apply and let me see what happens. And I'm in Tulsa now. So that's pretty much how the journey went. I just opened up myself to say, okay, I'm not going to restrict myself. I'm not going to put all these hard limitations as to where I'm, but I'm like, I always believe like God is going to take me where I'm supposed to be. And I feel like because I also, when I submitted that application, I prayed, if this is for me, let everything operate seamlessly. And it did.
So, was there or how did your old environment impact your mental health and your overall well-being?
New York is a very, I'll put it to you this way, the more that you heal, the more that you're going to feel restricted there. And what I started to realize, like my body needed sun, which we don't have a lot of. Like if you want to go stand in the sun, like you have to literally travel somewhere. You have to go out your building, go a couple of blocks to find an open space for you to have access to the sun. The people, the hustle and bustle. Like I realized I'm more of a slow pace. Like that month of me being in Myrtle Beach in 2022, that was really the first time that it was just like, oh, like I don't have to be on the go. I can just go at my pace. I don't have to leave. Like I used to leave an hour early just to get to almost anywhere that I needed to be in New York. So if the commute is already 30 minutes, I was leaving an hour and 30 minutes early. So I'm losing a lot of time. That caused me a lot of anxiety because I don't like to be late. It bothers me. So I'm like, oh my gosh, and then there's traffic. And it was just like I was realizing I was angry a lot, even when I'm so calm and I'm inspirational. But put me in a car on one of them roads, all of that road rage came back. And I was just like, I can't do this. Because it got to the point where I was working remote on purpose so that I didn't have to go outside. And that's not healthy. It's like I'm literally telling myself like you purpose like because my commute at my last in-person job was literally 2 hours each way. And I was staying in the 5 boroughs. It wasn't like I was going to Jersey or Connecticut. That would make sense for a 2 hour commute. I'm going from Brooklyn to the Bronx. There's no reason why I have a 2 hour commute. So when those types of things was
Yeah.
happening, it was like, Tanisha, this doesn't make sense. And one of my models is probably not the nicest model, but I don't do stupid well. And I realized this is stupid. This is stupid. So I just was like, I'm quitting my job. And this is not my first time quitting my job. I quit jobs because it's like, oh, I don't belong here anymore. Let's go.
Yeah.
And I left and I got me a remote position and then I stayed in the house. And then that's when I was just like, I'm at peace indoors, but I'm not because I'm not getting sun the way that I want to. and I don't have the fresh air, you know. So it was just like, it was not a healthy place to be in. It really, at
Yeah.
least for me, it was not healthy.
I have to salute you for driving through New York traffic. I didn't even think that you might be the first person I've known to have a car and actually drive it
So
through New York.
the problem that a lot of people have is that depending on where you live in New York, like I didn't live in
Yeah.
Manhattan. Manhattan, don't even bother. The people that I know that have a car that live in Manhattan, I'm just like, I wouldn't do it. But there's certain parts, like there's certain places where it's not really that convenient. Like there's parts of Brooklyn where in order for you to get a bus, you're probably walking about a half a mile to a mile to the bus station, to the bus stop. So it's not
Oof.
always like, oh yeah, you have guys have buses and trains. Plus, during the pandemic, what a lot of people fail to realize, my sister works for transit, so I kind of get a little bit more intel. The train systems were not running at their maximum capacity. So I did attempt to take the train. It still took me 2 hours. So if I'm gonna take 2 hours, I might as well just be in my car. And I can like reduce the number of people that I'm engaging with and I'm interacting with. So it just started to just make sense. Like, yeah, just drive to work. Like, don't aggravate yourself. If it's going to be 2 hours either way, you might as well just be at least sitting down comfortable, and you can make a stop if you need to get something to eat, stop, go shopping real quick. But it just made more sense for me to just drive to work.
So when you did make this decision to relocate, did you relocate by yourself?
I did.
You did. Okay. And this was like your first major leap outside of New York, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And it sounds like you got a good bit of like family, like some sort of support system that's based in New York.
Yes.
How did
Everyone.
they feel?
So my family is small. It's my sister, my older sister, my mother, and my niece. So my
Hmm.
sister she's the more understanding, because she understood you're not happy here. And so she's like, in that case, she's like a strategist. If you don't like it, then fix it. So she's like,
Yeah.
you keep complaining. What are you going to do about this? So when she saw the video, she was the one that sent it to me and was like, apply. Like, look at this. I don't know if she realized that I was going to apply that night, but when I told, because I applied and then I told them. And I was like, hey, y'all, like, just like, I applied to this program to move to Oklahoma. And my sister was like, okay. My mother was like, what? What? Like, Oklahoma? We don't move to Oklahoma. We don't go to, like, no, 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 no. You don't go to Oklahoma. You don't live in Oklahoma. You don't want to be in Oklahoma. But I'm going to give Oklahoma a chance, because all I knew is New York wasn't it. So they had to understand that. And my niece, who was my baby, she was not happy when she found out that just even the chance of me moving, she was like, who goes to Oklahoma? She was making fun of the name Tulsa. She was like, Tulsa, Tesla, Tesla, Tulsa. Like, she was being a teenager. And she was just like, I mean, if you want to go. And I was like, I'm
Hmm.
going. But, they were understanding. I think everybody started to realize, like, you're not happy here, and like, I still have my place in New York. Like, God forbid, if anything was to happen, I can go back. But I pray I don't ever have to go back. Like, that's my prayer. Like, God, I don't want to have to go back to New York. There's no money that can make me go back to New York. Not even love. I don't think.
Okay. That's very understandable. You kind of know how I feel about it. New York. I've been 3 times and I think
Mhm.
I'm good.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever felt that way about a city traveling. Maybe
Hmm.
Houston.
Okay.
Yeah. Houston, yeah. But honestly, I'm good. It's just it's so
It's a
I think it
lot.
was the rats. It was the rats. The rats. The rat cats. Those things are big.
They are. They are. I will admit
And
to that. They are big.
yeah, I saw that and I was ready to
You're
go.
like, I'm out of here. I ain't fooling up with y'all.
Yeah. Okay. So, was it challenging to adjust to Tulsa, being that I can imagine it's a slower pace of life, or, okay, you
It was
shake your
like
head no.
we came here in August. My sister came with me to do a visit in August of last
Okay.
year. And when I say to you, I got in the rental, and it was just like, and I was just like, yo, I like this. Like I felt no anxiety. I just felt at peace. Like I felt for the first time, I could just sit back and be like, okay, like I think I'm in my element. Like I did not have to adjust the noise, the lack of noise. I was actually sharing with someone on Sunday. One of my fears at first was like living in a house by myself. It's dark, like no lights, at night, and being afraid, like, being worried. Girl, I'll be having all these lights off. And like the first few nights, I'm just laying there like, oh, this feels amazing. Like it felt calming, and then to be able to get up in the morning and just step outside to the front or back of my house and stand in the sun, like you're gonna hear me emphasize the sun. Even in I officially moved in the end of the year, so it was cold. I'm outside with my bathrobe, but if the sun was out, I'm standing outside like, oh, the sun, and everyone is just like, what is so amazing about the sun? I was like, it is so healing. So being here feels like that was like another layer of healing for me that on my journey, because it was just like everything that I've been looking for is like, okay, I knew I made the right decision.
I just realized what you meant by not having as much access to the sun in New York, because the buildings are so dang on tall. It's probably blocking the sun.
It
And that's
is.
crazy to me to
It
think.
is. And then like on my block, we have trees. So when you go right outside, the trees is, tall, the buildings are tall. So
Yeah.
there's no sunlight coming through anywhere. It's kind of gloomy in certain parts, depending on where you are. Not all parts, but some parts is kind of gloomy.
Are you able to see stars out there in Tulsa too at night?
I'll say a little bit more clear than in New York. I won't say it's like, dreamy. Like I've been in parts of New Jersey that I could see the stars 10 times more clear. So I'll put it to you like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm with you when it comes to the sun. But I kind of always told myself, especially after being in a bigger city for a bit, I don't think I can see myself somewhere I can't see the stars at night. It's either something wrong with the air, might be some smog in the air, or it's just too dang on consumed by just people to the
Hmm.
point where it has to be that great of a need for lights to where I can't see the stars.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just, it's just not my cup of tea per se.
I
But
understand
yeah, I
that.
need the sun and the stars. I need all of that.
Right.
Um, yeah, okay, okay. You mentioned the program that your sister sent you through social media. You applied for this program, the Tulsa Remote Program.
Yes.
I wonder if there are any other programs out there like that. Did you look into that?
So there's actually a website called makemymove.com, and they
Okay.
list all of the relocation programs. So a lot of states, so there's one program in Arkansas. There's a lot in Illinois and Indiana. West Virginia has one. Rochester, New York. one of the cities in Georgia, I think it's Columbus, Georgia, just started theirs earlier this year,
Not
or like mid this
surprised.
year. And so there are other programs. Tulsa Remote is one of the most successful programs, and they base the success off of the retention. How many people stay after the year, like after their first year, because it's only a 1 year commitment. So how many people stay after the 1 year, 2 years? This 2025 would make 5 years. So we actually do have people that will make 5 years who still live here.
Okay. What was the determining factor for you? Like knowing that there are these other programs out there, um, what was so distinct about Tulsa that made you
So
say, yeah.
I mean, I think my initial quick research before I applied was the success of it, because I think if people are staying after their commitment, that kind of tells me that something good is going on there. And so since they were like the top, some of the other programs, like I wouldn't want to live in Rochester, New York. I don't think I would want to move to West Virginia. I would probably do West Virginia only to buy land. Like that would be a real move that comes with a strategy, not for anything else, but what can I gain from that? And then it's like the other states, they're still in cold states, so it's like even though Oklahoma gets cold, it doesn't get cold as long. So we pretty much had spring or fall until early November. It didn't really start getting cold until like after Thanksgiving. So I'm
Mhm.
still good to go outside with a hoodie on. Like I don't need a coat. You just put on a hoodie and you just go. Um, I think that was like also the main factor, was because it was in a more cool, the more warmer state. I think my only concern after I applied was the tornadoes, but my research shows me like Tulsa. I mean, anything can happen with tornadoes, but Tulsa is not usually prone to having tornadoes. So I was just like, okay, you know, we get tornadoes in Brooklyn. So you really can't fight anything. You can't avoid anything anymore.
Ooh, that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, and even in the South, plenty of tornadoes, plenty.
Yeah, tornadoes. So, and it was crazy because right a few weeks after I applied, and I had started to share my journey, and I started to get I call them everybody became a weatherman. Everybody wanted to tell me about the weather. Oh my gosh! And like one person was like, they have tornadoes, and like 2 days later, there was a tornado in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. And I sent it to the person. I was like, too bad. So thank God I wasn't in Bay Ridge, because I would have been in a tornado. And she was like, you don't have to be such a sarcastic person. I said, I can't control the weather. So I can easily go. I could have been in Bay Ridge to get some amazing Italian food and been caught in the middle of a tornado. Life is going to happen. I'm not going to stop myself from experiencing it because I'm worrying about the what ifs. So,
I know that's right. Soldier boy, tell him. So, yeah, you better tell him. Don't let no little wind twirl stop you from living the life that you imagine for yourself.
yes, yes.
Hmm. Let that wind dance in the air. You'll
That's
be all
right.
right.
Look, the people in Florida, they run down there and look at them. They have hurricanes and take them out. Their property insurance is going up and they still going. So I come over here, I might be like Dorothy a little bit, just a little bit.
Listen, oh my gosh. And where I'm from, we get hurricanes and occasional tornadoes. Like I think South Carolina's good for at least one tornado every year. Um, due to just hurricanes in general. But I'm here still. Like my family land, like, and now mind you, like, um I spent most of my life in a mobile home, like a trailer. Um, Nothing ever happened to that trailer. That trailer is still standing in good shape. Went through
Hey,
category 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
see?
hurricanes.
See, and
We
people,
fine neighbor here.
people need to hear those things because they will allow so much fear to stop them. And I'm just like you could talk to one person, my house blew away, and you talk to 10 others, and they're like, my house is okay. We may have some broken windows, but it's like I can't live like that. And that's a mental prison. That a lot of people will stay somewhere. See, I would rather someone say, I'm not moving to Tulsa, but I'm gonna leave and go somewhere else, instead of just saying I'm not going to Tulsa and then they just stay where they don't want to go, when they don't want to be, because it's just like, nope. Like someone said to me, well, at least you know the demons in New York, and I'm like, there's over 2 million people in Brooklyn alone. Like, that's a lot of demons to have to even try to keep up with, let alone 4 other boroughs. That's not a healthy mindset, at least not for me.
Soldier Boy, tell him.
You are
I
funny.
love this. I love this. No, for real. Like you really can't let certain people and certain elements just keep you in a box, keep you in a
Hmm.
bubble. Like
Right.
you literally said, even though people were in your ear saying it's NYC to the day I die, and it's the same for you too. Like, and you over here like, but I'm miserable. This is not life. I don't want to be here.
Very. When I say I was just such an unhappy person there, even when I go back, like I have to sometimes go back for work, family, and I'm just like I literally go through this like a week before, like, we gotta keep a positive mindset. We gotta keep positive energy. Like I have to inspire myself just to go back, because I'm just like annoyed from the moment that I touch LaGuardia, because I always fly into LaGuardia, and I'm just like, see, that's why I want to come back. I don't want to be here. I could just go home. I'm gonna just, and everyone is like, but this is your home. Home is where my happy is, and my happy is not here. My happy is in any other place except New York. And I also noticed the difference. This is something that I noticed. So January, I went to Miami. That was the first time that I was ready to leave Miami. Like, I used to love Miami, and it might just be I'm just outgrown Miami. I used to go to Miami like 2 to 3 times a year. And every time it was time to leave to go back to New York, I'm like, oh, I'm so sad. I don't want to go back to New York. I want to stay. And when I say to you, the day before I was due to leave, I was looking online to change my flight to come back a day earlier. And I was just like, no, you really want to go home. Like, you do not want to be here. I was so excited to get back to Tulsa. And I was like, this is a different feel. Same thing when I went to Cabo. I went to Cabo for my birthday. It was a great trip. Loved the city. But I was ready to come home. I was ready to be in Tulsa. I was like, okay, fun is done. Okay, I'm ready to go back home. And that's when I realized, yeah, the resistance with New York. It does exist, and it's just like the first time that I went home to visit this year for March, I was sitting on the I stayed home for 3 weeks, because my sister's birthday is at the beginning of March and my niece's birthday is at the end of March, and my sister's best friend had just passed away, so just wanted to be there, see her husband and her family, just being around family. But when I tell you, I was sitting on that couch, like, my mom was like, and hurt my mom's feelings, because my mom had to move in with me in Brooklyn, like 2 years before I even thought about leaving. And she was like, that's so hurtful. Like, it's like, you don't want to be here. Like, she's making it about her. You don't want to be here with me. No, I just don't want to be here. Like, so y'all can pack up your stuff and you can meet me somewhere else. Like, it's not you, it's the city. It's the energy of the city. So I have to keep reminding her of that. Like, it's not that I don't want to be around you. I could just be around with you anyway. I flew her out to Chicago to meet me. I wanted to hang out with her. I just don't want to hang out with you in New York. So let's go to Chicago and we can hang out there. And that's what we did. So it's, sometimes people just don't understand that.
I can laugh now, but like I had that same moment, but with Houston.
Mm.
Like you seen it. I'm sure you seen enough of my episode. I was like, I got to the point. I would go. I would go home. Well, to South Carolina, and then to see family, and then get back on the plane to come back to Texas, and I'd be just crying, bro. Like I don't wanna go to Houston. Like
Right.
it's not it's not like the vibing. It's not vibing. And I kind of was like that on certain trips because I like to travel outside of the country. I like to go to different states and visit friends, and I'm just like, dang, like why did time pass by so fast? I do not want to go back to Houston. But then I think my first trip after moving to Austin, where did I go? I can't remember where I went. Let's see, I moved in February. I can't remember where I went, but I do know that it was somewhere like outside of the states. And I, although I had a great time, I did had a moment where I was like, you know what? I'm ready to go back to Austin now. I
Yeah.
like to return to
Yes.
the city because the energy is great, and I love like my apartment. I love the environment that I'm in, like the mental clarity. My bed is more comfortable, and I moved with the same bed. I'm like, why is the bed more comfortable? I don't know.
See?
Something's different.
Right.
Yeah,
It's just,
because of all that tension. It's
mhm,
just whoosh. And all of a sudden, the bed is comfortable. The pillows aren't as stiff. I'm like,
right.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
I
We don't
moved with
pay
the
attention
same
to those
pillows.
small things.
Yeah,
We don't pay
just
attention.
small things.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, this is good. It's good. Oh, back to that program.
Okay.
The the, the
Remote.
Tulsa Remote
Hmm.
Program. Is that just for US citizens or is that open to people in other countries?
Other countries.
Oh,
Yeah. I went to brunch with someone the other couple of weeks ago, and she's from Haiti. She moved here from Haiti. Another young lady. I think when she relocated, she was in Mexico, so she came from Mexico. But yeah, it's open up to anyone. The only thing is that you have to have a remote job, like already. Like they're not helping you find a job. You have to have a remote job, and your job has to allow you to live in Oklahoma. Other than that, apply. Reach out to
okay.
me first, and then apply.
Yes, reach out to Tanisha. And also, she has a lot of information on her YouTube page. So, um, for the sake of time and for just supporting Tanisha because she is not gatekeeping, please go to her YouTube and just check out all the great gems that she has on there about the Tulsa Remote Program.
Yeah, I go through
Okay.
I go through everything from my interview up until my 1 year.
Yeah. Okay. Walk us.
Walk you
Walk
through
us through it.
it.
Yes. Love to see it. All right. So we're in Tulsa. You said that it wasn't challenging to adjust to the slower pace of life there, which is great. Just chef's kiss. Um, what are some features of your new location that helped you to recharge mentally, other than the sun?
I think the first thing is like we don't have traffic. Like our traffic is fake traffic. It'll be like 3 minutes, right? It'll be like 3 minutes because like where I live in the north side. So I'm like near the airport. And most of the popular things are either downtown, which is like 15 minutes from me, and then like South Tulsa, which is like 20, 25 minutes for me. But to put that in perspective, if I was in New York, 15 minutes would probably get me, depending on the time of day, I'm probably touching a mile in 15 minutes. 15 minutes here, I'm getting about 10 miles, 8 to 10 miles, so our speed limit is higher. So our regular streets speed limit is 40. New York is 25. Huge difference. We have a great so Tulsa Remote does a great job at creating a community for you. So you don't walk in unless you just don't go outside. But if you want to say, hey, I want to meet some people, I want to at least, have coffee or have a smoothie with someone, you can always find someone to connect with. So that's great. And then there's a big entrepreneurial community here. So it's a lot of small businesses. So it makes you want to go outside because you're like, yes, I can
Yeah.
go to Dunkin', I can go to Starbucks, but you know what? I saw that little cute coffee shop. Let me go stop in there. And next thing you know, you're like having a conversation with a stranger who could be a part of the program or who's just lived there their entire lives. And so it's just like you really do feel community here. So I think that's what I love. And then it's, like I said, between the fact that we don't have traffic and we don't have a lot of limitations with parking issues. So it makes you want to go out. So, like, whereas in New York, I'm calculating, it's going to take me this long. Now I'm like, oh, let somebody call me right now. Hey, you want to go get something to eat? And let's meet up by 8:30. Okay, cool. I'll meet you there. I'll be there. I might be 5 minutes late, but it's like so close. So that's also what has made Tulsa so attractive for me because it makes going out easier. Whether you're going out by yourself or with some friends, it's so much easier.
Okay. Okay. We love that. We love that. And speaking of support and people and community in general, um, your mom, your sister, um, I guess any friends that were kind of like um, familiar with you relocating, how have they influenced your experience after the fact? Like and you've been there for 13 months. Um, has mom like kind of relaxed a little bit? Is she more on the bandwagon? Has she even like come to Oklahoma?
She's been here now two
Okay.
times. We got her out here twice, and she likes it. She understands more because even she sees the difference. She's like, "You're always smiling, like you're always doing something." Like I said, those last 2 years, I was in the house. People are like, "You want to go out?" My first question, where we going? Because I need to decipher if I can drive there. Oh, I can't drive there. Well, wait, how much is the Uber? $60? Yeah. Even though I have it, doesn't mean that I want to spend it. So you know what? I'm gonna pass. And people, they're like, but I want to hang out with you. Yeah, you need to find a location that has parking, and I'm there. Like I will travel. Like I used to go out to Long Island to meet with my friends because Long Island has parking. So I was like, oh yeah, I don't mind. They're like, but it's traffic. I want to see you, so I don't mind traveling to you as long as there's parking and I don't have to fight for it. So that's just like my biggest thing. So they see that. My mom sees it. People actually will like call my mother, like my family members. Is she really happy? Like she looks happy, but is she really happy? Because looks could be deceiving. And my mother's like, no, she really loves it out there. But it's Oklahoma. She was like, but she loves it. And when she came out here, she's sitting on the front porch. She's on the deck, and she's like, oh, I could. Can you bring my coffee? Okay, here, drink your coffee. Go sit outside. Talk on the phone, read your book, whatever you want to do. Like she can do that and not have to worry of people driving by making a lot of noise, stuff like that. It's just so she's witnessed it herself, and I think she likes that, and I think she believes it. Like, okay, she's really happy here. So I think everyone is pretty supportive. I've had one friend to come visit. Same thing with him. He's like he's lived in other cities, so he's like, yeah, I can see this for you. This makes sense. You seen you
Oh,
don't have road rage. Yeah, this is good for you. You stay here. So he understands. And that's what I tell people: when you know someone that's close to you, you will understand. Like, this is good for you. Take you out the equation. We'll focus on, is this a good fit for this person, and just be understanding to that. And that's all that I ask people to do.
that's a good point too. Oh my gosh. Okay. Good gems today. Good gems. Yes. Okay. How would you how would you say relocating has helped you redefine your goals or life priorities?
Um, so I think relocating, my goals really have not shifted. I think they have been reintroduced to me. So I went through a professional development program that's here. It's a free program, which I love, but it's called New You. And the goal is, at the end of these 6 weeks, you have a better definition of like who you are, what is your vision for your life, and everything that we had to do a vision board for an assignment. Everything on that vision board I had already experienced. I already had a taste of it. I've been published in magazines, been on TV, I've been paid thousands of dollars for an hour to speak. Like, I've done all those things, but I lost myself. So coming here, it's just like it just reignited that fire in me, because I'm sitting at tables with other entrepreneurs who was telling me about, oh, I got a grant for $25,000. Oh, I just won this grant for $10,000. Someone just I got my first investor, and I'm using this money to build my team so that we can make things automated. I'm sitting around people who are making moves, and I'm like, I needed this. It had to remind me of who I am, who I was, because I did lose myself, because I was so stuck in this negative, mindset. And it's like, and that's that's a fight. When you're trying to be so positive and you're like in this really dark space, it's like light is fighting with the dark. And some days I was losing, right? I was really losing because I did not know how to get out of that, and it's like I didn't want to keep that fight. It's like, no, let me just get out the problem. The problem is my environment. For some people, that's your problem, is your environment is your problem. So when you get out the environment, now you can freely be that late. You can freely be that person that you're supposed to be. So I felt like this year was the year for me to just embrace and just get that peace back. But next year, it's like we on and popping again. We got to get these speaking engagements. We got to get booked, booked and busy wisely. Like, not just going to be busy just to be busy, But I think that's what Tulsa did for me this year. Was like to reignite that and just help me to remind myself of who I am.
And we talked offline a little bit, and you've had this platform of being an inspirational speaker prior to moving to Tulsa, and your followers or supporters, like, they just kind of like they're watching you in real time transitioning into this phase of Oklahoma Tanisha.
Yes, they're seeing it. They're seeing it.
I think I think that's so awesome to have like people who've been with you for the long haul see you transform throughout this whole process. Has anyone like reached out to kind of like express like their support for that?
Hmm.
Um, I wonder how like this has influenced the people who've been like watching you and supporting you from like beginning of time even now.
Like, so I'm also a teacher, and I teach adults. So all of my students are 21 and over. And
Okay.
I've had a couple of students from when I first started teaching. Well, I think, like in my earlier part of my career, like 2011, 2012. So they've been following the journey, and they're like, I'm so proud of you. Like, you always talked about wanting to leave New York and you did it. Like, I think what people are so accustomed to people just talking and they don't never execute. And they remember what you say. So it's like in the back of their mind, they're like, yeah, she's saying she gonna move. And then it's like another year goes by, another year. And that's why I tell people, don't get stuck on time because it's gonna happen when it needs to happen. So you just have to be willing to make it happen when it's that time. So I'm thankful that those people did not think that, oh yeah, she's just over here talking crap. She ain't gonna never move. She gonna keep on. She gonna be unhappy there because some people do that. They continue to stay in that space and they reached out like, I'm so proud of you. Like some of them actually like brought me gifts. I didn't even know. Like I had a registry and I'm getting like gifts that I didn't even know. I'm like, oh, you didn't have to. Oh no, I saw the link. I still follow you, so I sent you a little something, and I appreciate that. And it's like having friends that we may not speak as much. They reached out. Like, I'm so proud of you. Like, yeah, New York is not you. You're not within that lifestyle anymore. I can see the difference in you. I can see you living a more country, slower life. Like people can see, and I think so many times people see those things before we see them. It's just us catching up to see it and then actually living it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Looking back, would you recommend relocating as like a mental health strategy to others?
Yes. Some
Okay.
people,
Like,
like I said earlier, sometimes it is your environment. Your environment is keeping you stuck. And if you're not aware of that, you can pay all the therapy, you can take all the wellness retreats, you can do all of those different things, but if you're not paying attention to how your body responds, how does your, like I think you had mentioned offline, the nervous system, like so many people don't pay attention to those things. So it's just like you become so conditioned, like it's like that hamster on the wheel when you just keep going. When you stop and you go into a new environment, you're like, either your body doesn't know what to do because it's not in the chaos, or some people might need to leave Tulsa and go to New York. That might be what their purpose to do. So it's, you have to find where it works for you for now. I am a big believer. Tulsa might not be my end all be all, but for now in this season, this is where I need to be. And so I think if people let go, and that's what I help people to do, to unlearn these unhealthy narratives. People want to tell you, get a job, keep a job. Most people are still stuck in New York because they got the job and because someone told them, now you keep this job and you stay here until you retire. They don't want to be there. So now you're forcing yourself to stay somewhere for 25 years, 30 years, can't afford it, living paycheck to paycheck, or you got to do a whole bunch of overtime just to pay your rent. For what? Baby, let that go. Because I see more retire and within a year they're dead. They don't get to enjoy their life. They don't get to go on vacations because they don't have money to do that. So you follow somebody's plan and you stay somewhere that was not for you and you got the short end of the stick. I don't want that for me. And this is why I encourage anyone, wherever you are, if you feel that feeling like I don't belong here, like if you've ever said that, I remember saying that to my first life coach in 2015. I said, I don't feel like I belong here in New York. And she was like, you might not. And she went through her own journey of bouncing from city to city. She went throughout the United States for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Then she started going international. Last time I saw her, she was married, 2 kids in New Zealand. Okay? We all have a story. God created this whole world. Why are we limiting ourselves to a couple of square feet in a city that does not speak to us? Remove yourself and let somebody that belongs there. Let them be there. Like you had to leave Houston for someone to be in Houston. That's where they're gonna go. They're gonna thrive, and it's gonna be one day they're gonna probably be like, "Oh, my time is up in Houston." It's it's time for me to go to the next place. I really believe that's what a lot of us are supposed to do.
it's kind of like dating, you know? It's in a way, it's like dating.
It is. And so another fun fact, I also tell people a lot of us are supposed to move because your person is not in the city that you're either currently in or that you're from. That's another thing. There's so many people who are limiting, and they're like, I remember I did a workshop, and I had the young ladies tell me like, okay, if you are on a dating app, what is your mileage? Because some dating apps you can put your preference. I only want to see guys in the next 10 miles. And one girl was like 5 miles, just 5 miles. And I was like, five? Like 5 miles in New York is nothing. And I was like, sweetie, I was like, do you know how much you're limiting your potential? And so I said, if you start to expand a little, I said, even go 100. 100 is going to at least get you into Jersey. You can meet a quality man in New Jersey. And she was like, nope, 5 miles, 5 miles, that's it. So some people, that's the other thing. We're single and we're looking for this person in Brooklyn. We're looking for this person. And God is like, he ain't there. I'm going to need you to go over there because I'm going to need you to position yourself over there so he can find you. And you're like, nope, because I want to stay in Brooklyn. So that was another thing because the book that I wrote that in I wrote that in 2018. That's been on my spirit since 2018. I don't know what's for me, but it's like a lot of people are going to have to get out the land of familiar to meet that person as well. So that wasn't my goal, but that was another thing for people to kind of take into consideration.
I know a whole person. I know someone who she is Peruvian.
Mm.
Hold on, let me get my life together because I'm good for butchering stuff. I am so good for butchering. I gotta bring this up. Okay, cool. So she's Peruvian. I met her in South Carolina. This girl travels all over the world,
Mm-hmm.
all over. At one point, she even lived in Texas, and it's crazy. We were both in Texas at the same time, never crossed paths. She always on the go. Now she lives in London, and I think she met her soon-to-be husband out there in London.
Mm-hmm.
And man proposed to her in a whole different country, in a whole different continent. So I'm like, ooh, oh. Like, I'm not restricting myself to
Right.
5 miles
5 miles.
when there's literally a man out here who she found in a different part of the world who's currently showing her the road.
Mm.
Proposed to her in a whole different continent.
I love
I'm
that. I love
trying to
that.
be like that.
I love
Yeah. Hopefully, Jackie, hey girl, if you listen, I hope I can get you on this podcast.
it.
Come talk to us. You're trying to listen. Okay. Last question, and we're gonna let you go. Now that you have relocated, I know you've been in Tulsa for 13 months, but let's think about who you were back in 2015. I think that's when you said you first had that thought of, I don't think New York is for me
Mm-hmm.
anymore. So um think about that person, like who you were back then.
Mm-hmm.
So question is, now that you relocated, what words of advice would you provide to the 2015 version of yourself?
You were right. Trust your gut and don't let fear keep you stuck. I think those are all the major things that it was like I had to trust. I mean, even so, I drove here by myself, and even that was unexpected. It was like everything that could have gone wrong did, but I felt like it went wrong the right way. And I just, and 2 years ago, I started learning about human design, and they talk about like my type. We gotta like ask ourselves yes or no questions to decipher like if it's a strong yes or it's like a no. And I remember last October when I found out that I would have to drive by myself, I was like, "Can you drive by yourself?" And it was like this feeling like, yes, like, are you afraid to drive by yourself? No, and I felt this, and it just like my gut was like, you got this. Like, don't let any fear come and block you, try to get you thrown off track again, because that's what fear is supposed to do. Fear is going to try to get you as close to that familiar space, that comfort zone, to keep you there, because it's like, no, you got to stay here with us, and I truly believe that. So I would definitely tell 2015 Tanisha, like, trust your gut. Don't you dare let fear stop you, because I was right. I was right.
Just joking. I have one more question. Um, other than what you mentioned, like you identified what you were afraid of making that long drive.
Hmm.
What else, fear wise, was standing in the way,
You mean to actually drive here, or just in general?
or just to move? You mentioned fear because you sound pretty fearless throughout this process. Like, I didn't even think I had to touch bases on fear.
No, I think so. I think so. One of the biggest things was, so I still have my place in New York, and I think just not being there every day, like, I'm so possessive of my stuff. So it's like when my mom calls me and be like, "Oh, this is not working," "Hey, I knew it, I knew it." And then it's just like, girl, it would have probably broke if you would have been there, because I've been in that place now 17 years. So things are gonna fall, because I haven't done like huge improvements in my co-op. So I think that was like a fear, like, of letting go of my physical place in New York. I think the other fear was, one fear was like the sundown towns. So like driving and just being familiar of, like, if I get, because sometimes the GPS would take you off the interstate to save you time. Like, I learned my lesson in Myrtle Beach, because when I went to Myrtle Beach, it literally had me going down these like windy roads. You from the Carolinas, you know what I'm talking about. I'm up here like, no, and it's about to get dark. Where is the highway? Take me back to the interstate. So I was afraid of that. But, my friend, like I said, he told me, just stay. If there's traffic, stay. Don't you tell it, no, I don't want to go any other direction. You keep me on this I-80 until it's time for me to start going south. So that was something that I did have a concern about. But other than that, no, I don't feel like I have like the traditional fears that other people have, that because I'm around over three, like, well, I haven't met all 3,000, but I'm around hundreds of people that have done the same thing that I've done. And I hear a lot of their fears. They're afraid of what's going to happen in Tulsa. Is there going to be like another race war? So it's just like, I didn't think about none of that stuff. I was just like, I want the peace. I want the peace. I want the backyard. I want to just sit in the sun, and that's it. No traffic. That was the only things that I was worried about. Other than that, I didn't have like any major fears.
I've been in the South all my life, and I still avoid sundown towns. Like,
I don't
it's
blame
just not. Yeah, I don't blame you at all. And I think that is so unfortunate that it's about to be 2025 and this is still a thing.
you. Right. And I think because someone brought up, I saw someone post on one of the social medias, and they were like showing a map. And I think it was pretty dated. Like, it wasn't like last year. It was like maybe probably early 2000 something. But it was showing a map of like the different sundown towns. And people were like, oh, that doesn't exist anymore. I think people really do live in their minds and their mindset of like, that doesn't exist. Like, you guys, please. And I'm just like, no, they still exist. Like, they're in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
You know, when we went to my mom, they came for my mother's birthday. We drove to the border of Texas and Oklahoma to the One Star Casino. We have no affiliation with them, but we went there to see a comedy show. And the GPS took us through them sundown. So I don't know if they were sundown towns, but he took us through those small towns where you can be like at one moment you're at 60 miles per hour, but then like just a few feet it's 30 miles per hour. I witnessed that, and all I could think about was like, why did the GPS take me this way? Like, I feel like we need to make sure we are there well before this sun goes down, because I know I drove past one of them or drove through one of them. And as long as I don't stop, if I stopped, it was at some place, a Walmart, a Starbucks, lights, something public, you know. But other than that, just keep on going, So I think that's a lot of people just don't know that they still exist. I think they're in denial about it. But gotta let them know.
That's a okay. So I'm not gonna say
Not
anything
my
more,
views.
but yeah, I just want people to just come together and just coexist. I think that shouldn't be too hard to ask. It really shouldn't. Like people should be able to, no matter where they came from,
Mhm.
be able to drive through any time, any little town, a city, and not think that their life might be in jeopardy. But this is the United States of America. I don't know where the United part came from, but yeah, there we go. All right.
Vanilla
Yeah.
state that.
I think that's important to know because, there's some people from probably listening from a whole different country thinking they want to move to Texas. Go ahead and do it. But don't move before you do your research first. Oh my gosh. I don't want you living in Vider. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't live in Vider, Texas.
Yeah. No,
don't,
and that
don't do
and
it.
that's actually one of the, I think, if I can offer anyone any advice, like you said, please do your research. I actually did a video about this on my YouTube channel based off of the conversations of people that moved here. Like, some people don't realize, like, just simple things like taxes, how every state is different. So if you're coming from a state where you don't pay taxes and now you're going to move to a state where you do have to pay state taxes or vice versa, um, being familiar with not expecting what you have at home. So I think was it your post you talked about Publix, like when people come visit you from Publix, you ask them to bring you a sub or something. Was that you?
Yeah.
Was that someone else?
Oh no, that was me.
That
Yeah,
was you,
I
right?
I used to tell people, please, when before you even hop on the plane, please go to Bojangles. Please go to Publix, get me a sub. I'm not so much as supportive for Publix now for like
Oh,
political
okay.
reasons, but
Yeah.
I will go to Bojangles real quick, and I will ask somebody to go to Bojangles real quick because
Right.
yeah,
So it's stuff like that that people are like, oh, there's no Publix here. We need this supermarket. And I'm like, so you just have to get comfortable with the supermarkets that are here and know that you're not gonna like starve. Like, you're gonna be able to still buy groceries and it's still gonna be quality. We have a Trader Joe's in Tulsa. So many people are like, we're about to get our second Trader Joe's, actually. So I'm like, where's
big
all
pimping.
these things out here? We got about to have two Trader Joe's. We got like four Whole Foods. Like, you can eat here.
Oh,
You can buy, but if you're only focusing on what you have back at home, that's where you're gonna be limited. Like, if I was like, there's no food bazaar, I'm going back to New York because I love food bazaar in New York. But we ain't got no food bazaar here. And I had to get over that and find where I like to shop. It's not that serious. Like, I had a young lady ask me on Instagram. She was like, but don't you miss the Chinese food? Don't you miss the 24-hour bodegas? I was like, sweetie, if that's what's keeping you in New York, I think you have a bigger problem. And I wasn't trying to be funny because that can't keep me in New York. Not Noble. I got Quick Trip, 24 hours. I can give me snacks, something to eat, and some gas. I can go into Winco. Winco was, I don't know, do you have Wincos in Texas?
I haven't, not that I've seen.
Okay.
Maybe I just
Another
haven't seen it.
areas. Yeah. So we have like a 24-hour supermarket and it's employee owned, but it's a really great supermarket. And I'm like, I got that. I'm good. Like I don't need much. Aldi, Trader Joe's, and Winco. That's it. Those are my three. But so many
What would you
people.
mention? Er, Go
Huh?
ahead. I'm sorry. You said yes. What is yes?
I said no gas. Gas.
Oh,
Gasoline.
I'm, I was intrigued.
You're
Like,
like, wait, what's
yes.
that?
That a pastry? Like,
I mean, Winco has some good homemade bagels that they make every day throughout the day, and they are top tier. Top tier. So yeah, no yes, no.
okay. That's that Brooklyn accent coming out at this point. I'm like, what the heck is yes? You said gas. Got you. Either that, I might be tired. Okay, I got you on here too long. We about to go. All right. Well, Tanisha, thank you so much for being my guest. I really appreciate you. I learned a lot about Tulsa. I might actually come visit now. Like I can't rag on the city and not come. I gotta come
Yeah,
now.
you gotta come. You gotta come visit. You gotta see. We got some sites. We have the Arkansas River. They actually put the water back, so now we actually have a river again. Damn, we ain't gonna talk about that. Yeah. When I moved here, it was dry. But
Oh,
yeah, we have one of our parks. The Gathering Place was actually USA Today's #1 park in the country. I'm just saying, Tulsa's getting known. We getting our kudos out here.
oh, Tulsa, and first black mayor.
First black, we just voted for our first black mayor. Yes, we did. He just took office. Yeah, they do things different over here, but he just took office. So
Yeah,
yes. So
I love
making
that.
history, making history.
Yeah.
So come on and
Yay.
visit.
Yeah, I'll come and visit. When is it? Does it snow? And if it does,
So
how long?
January. So last year we had like sprinkles. It does ice. It ice here. When it ice, they will shut the city down for the most part. But I haven't had any snow. Like I, excuse me, I literally bought a big bag of salt last year. I'm gonna probably have that bag until I leave, until I move, because you're not doing a whole bunch of throwing out the salt. Yeah, so it's literally not that bad. And I think I feel like winter was only 1 week, in my opinion. Like where it was cold, cold. Like that week was
Okay.
like negative, but it was just for a week. After that, it was just like okay. It went back to like higher 40s. I could deal with higher 40s. Like that doesn't bother me.
It bothers me a little bit, but I'll still come visit.
Well, come like February then. Come like February. February is
Yeah.
is it was nice in February. Started to warm up. The first time that I wore shorts was in February. I saw someone last on Sunday, shorts on. Like I had a t-shirt on and it said "Baby, it's cold outside," and the guy was like, "That shirt is so incorrect." And I was like, "I know, but it's the Christmas
Ah,
season, so I'm just pretending because it's not cold at all."
yeah.
So,
Okay.
so yeah, so come and
Okay. You just debunked a few myths for me. I love that. Okay, I might come in February. Ah, okay, I'll keep you
visit.
posted.
I'll be back by then.
Okay.
So that's good.
Yes. All right. Well, y'all, we are getting ready to wrap this up, but make sure y'all tune in every Wednesday for a new episode of the Relocate Podcast. Once again, this is Kirsten, and see you on the flip side. Or hear me on the flip side. Either are you going to see me.